What are we going to look for?
Kangaroo is it kangaroo rats or kangaroo mice?
Yeah, kangaroo mice.
And maybe porcupine?
And maybe coyotes?
No.
No?
I've said it time and time again, seeing something is a lot easier than photographing it. Katie and I really want to photograph one of those tiny little kangaroo mice. And it sure is fun wanting something.
But I can't put it in there until we go pick out a campsite.
I learned early in life that what you want and what you get are not always the same. Katie and I are certain that there are kangaroo mice here at these sand dunes. Additionally, we know that our only chance to see one will be late at night under that moonlit sky. So, we set up camp. However, the winds made it quite difficult to get things staked down. And coincidentally, the wind is what makes this place so special. Geologists suspect these dunes started forming about 15,000 years ago.
I'll be right here reading a book. Just kidding.
The prevailing winds in the basin blow from the southeast about 30% of the time, and the northwest about 30% of the time, which means the sands, they don't drift very far. The sand dunes remind me that time and effort can bring about beautiful results. Speaking of time and effort, Katie has been on my case about putting too much pressure on myself for these videos. I keep telling myself, come what may, Josh, just tell the story. But we'll get to that a little later. Hopefully I'll be telling the story of the kangaroo mice here in this patch of sand. But we have several hours before sunset, and on the drive in we spotted a flock of snow geese gathered on a cove along the Snake River. I couldn't think of a better way to pass time than trying to sneak up on those snow geese. For those of you that don't know, there's no such thing as sneaking up on snow geese. The closer we got to the edge of the pond, the further they migrated out to the middle. Recognizing the futility of our efforts, we decided to just sit and watch. However, sitting and watching didn't last long. Soon, we were back on our feet watching that beautiful dance. It's a magical experience watching these geese just fill the sky. There appeared to be no rhyme or reason to their ascents. One moment they were calmly floating along, and the next seemed like absolute chaos. I often wonder what our mundane lives look like to the birds. What's it like watching us humans buzz around this planet? I wonder if the birds try to make sense of it all. Such strange behavior, they must think. Perhaps. In the meantime, I'll just enjoy their dance, regardless of the rhyme or reason. Anyway, I digress. Back to the kangaroo mice. To be clear, we really didn't know what we were looking for, kangaroo mice or kangaroo rats. All I know is that everything looks like a mouse when you're looking for mice. What we did know is that they are most active about 2 or 3 hours after sunset. Now listen, I'm not afraid of the dark. However, things just get a little creepy in the desert at night. And we learned quick that we were not equipped to capture any nighttime footage. An hour after sunset, we'd seen no less than 5 or 6 mice. Unfortunately, they saw us too, and they didn't seem too happy about those bright lights on our head.
Wait, no, I have to stay here.
After all that time and effort, there was only one subject that was willing to sit still long enough for a photo. And sorry to say, it wasn't a kangaroo mouse.
Dude, why are you staring at me? Go away.
Okay, I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. Katie and I know where to go to photograph birds. Additionally, we have a great group of birding friends that alert us to cool sightings, and we are incredibly grateful for that. However, we've discovered over the years that there's one thing that we want more than anything, and that one thing is to be surprised. We've been photographing the same birds now for what feels like months. Thankfully, we're just a few short weeks away from the migration. So while we wait for that migration, we head into the mountains looking for that surprise. When Katie and I aren't photographing birds or critters, you can find us on the ski slopes. We ski dozens of times per season. You can say it's our other obsession. Yet, regardless of how much we ski, it's hard to get critters off our mind.
I wish you would have seen that little tiny baby squirrel on that log that I just saw. It was like, the body of it was like that big. You know, frolicking around, looking all cute and making its little... And I stopped and I looked right at him and he was like, what are you looking at? And looked right back at me and was like shaking his tail.
Sounds like it's time to get out of these skis and into those snowshoes. Except there's one problem.
Why didn't we bring the snowshoes?
I'm anything.
You need help? You're just up to... It looks like your other leg's about to go down. It was graceful.
All dressed up and ill-equipped. It's kind of the story of our life.
You don't need snowshoes.
Look, before you ask, it doesn't matter who forgot the snowshoes. All that matters is that we need to get some if we want to move on.
Should have brought the snowshoes, man.
On our way to rent some snowshoes, we had our first surprise.
Oh wow, I just got that raven flying over. Got two.
Now, to be fair, these mule deer are what I call low-hanging fruit.
Oh, look, here he comes. And there go the ravens. Look at that.
Either way, they're fun to spend time with, and we can't see these guys from our couch in Boise.
Look at him. He does not care.
How are you? You're looking kind of crazy.
Low-hanging fruit or not, I love these little moments. Plus, it's always nice to get a pretty shot without putting too much work in. Finally, snowshoes. They make all the difference. For some of us at least. For others, it takes a little getting used to. Anyway, so back to something I mentioned earlier. Katie recently noticed that I've been putting a lot of pressure on myself to get out and document some amazing experience. I admit I do find myself stressing about getting some amazing shot or telling that perfect story. The older I get, the more I understand myself, and I've learned in the past several years that I can't just do something half-assed. It wasn't enough to just watch birds. I had to start photographing them. Then, I no longer found myself satisfied with just getting a picture. I wanted a beautiful image. And eventually, the beautiful images weren't enough. Now, I want to share that experience through video. Furthermore, I've learned that the experience is just part of it. I've recently kindled the insatiable desire to feel connected to it all. Amidst all that self-imposed pressure, I feel the burden of getting my money's worth out of all this equipment. You might wonder, how can I have all these thoughts and feelings while watching a squirrel? Well, that's me. I get lost in my head. Subject, background, light. Is it properly exposed? Who am I? What's this all about? Do other people think about this stuff? Am I the only one that has these yearnings for more? Luckily, I have Katie to snap me back into reality. Josh, she says, relax, it's just photography. Enjoy it. So we did. We sat and watched as that little squirrel stuffed his face like he hadn't had a bite to eat in months. And I watched Katie as she enjoyed that moment. Don't get me wrong, I wanted more. I wanted to photograph some birds. However, like I said, what you want and what you get is not always the same thing. And that, my friends, is wonderful. Nice! You made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Go check out another video, like this one, right here.